Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, everyone. I didn't even realize that I should have actually started with this instead of like good morning, everyone, because people listen from different time zones. But most importantly, today is March 24, 2022 in many countries, and this is Evan Studios Weekly Podcast. How are you doing, everyone? This week I don't have Isaac with me because we're starting an hour later or 2 hours later, depending, um, than most days. And the reason for it is we were just working on the game at the time of the podcast. And while I was setting up the stuff for the podcast, my cat jumped on top of my work desk and she bumped a can of Coke all over my desk, and thankfully the can was like only like 1/4 full, so she didn't fuck everything up. But yeah, emotional damage. Anyway, today is the 34th podcast. God damn, the time flies so fast. And we have big news for you guys. First of all, thank you guys for reminding me to switch the screen to the podcast. Yeah, I know I can always count on you guys to remind me of that. Isaac as well. So yeah, I'm gonna answer a couple things that I see recurring and people asking me over and over and over, so I can just direct them to this podcast if it happens again. But the first thing that I want to answer is a lot of people ask me, why do we not release a podcast every week? For the same reason we don't draw stick figures and post it on the previous channel. It's just we don't have that much content to. Yeah, it was a Coca-Cola Coke, not Coke. It wasn't blow. It wasn't drugs. It was a can of Coca-Cola. Uh, um, yeah. Yeah, we don't release a podcast every week because honestly, it's like people don't ask that many questions, or at least not questions um, that I should take like a week to answer, or until the podcast to answer. Um, so there's really not a lot of Q&A going on the podcast in general, and I'm not gonna make a podcast if it makes no sense. Like, if there's almost no content to talk about, I'm not just gonna make a podcast just so you guys can hear my voice, my overly weird voice because of my freaking allergies. Um, and yeah, that's the reason why I don't do a podcast every week. There's really not a lot to say. I'm just gonna catch you guys up to what has been going on in Evan Studios and the big news. So yeah, as for Evan Studios, we are currently working on the shoulder patch. Also, while Muko is drawing some of the outlines, Tiger Lila is taking the time to also improve some of the busts. And initially, we were only going to improve a few busts for the shoulder patch, but then she just kept the ball rolling, and she kept updating all the busts. So it's probably something that's going to come out once we release the final Fleeting Iris patch, which we have to release. And I know a lot of people are dying for the last three scenes plus the lifeguard ending. But that's not all that's going on in the patch. The patch has a lot of improvements, a lot of dialogue changes. So that's why we're not just releasing that, because that part of the patch you already have. We just had to like draw one more scene. But we also don't want to release this patch and then later on just release another patch. Like, we're trying to clean up the game as best as we can. And it's only missing three scenes. So we're trying to add as much stuff as we can to it. But I will give you I'll give you guys a few updates at the end of the podcast, so you guys have an idea when the patch is going to come out. I will give you guys release dates at the end of the podcast. Regarding the podcast itself, it's pretty much that. Like, right now the CG team is working on the scenes. One of them is almost out. Uh, I'm trying to figure out like which ones we have. We have two with the outlines. They already have been spoiled mostly in the VIP lounge. But the remaining product, I think one of them is about to come out for everyone. Uh, Muku is already started working on a fourth one, and Penny's coloring. Tiger Lily is coloring two of them. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna start seeing the previews on the previews for Alancia coming out real soon. I have a bunch of previews for Journey Broth, but considering that they're mostly story previews and whatnot, I spoiled most of them in the Journey Abroad Patreon, but I don't want to spoil the channel because it's mostly story CGs. So I kind of want to just release it instead of like just spoiling everyone, because I think the impact is going to be a lot smaller if we start spoiling story stuff on the Dreamville spoilers. So yeah, right now all the teams are working really hard in their respective games, and yeah, I think I'm going to jump straight to the. I'm trying not to spoil too much this early in the podcast, but I'm going to just jump straight into the big news and then explain what's going on in terms of like Fleeting Iris and the Shota patch and whatnot. So so that I can get out of this trying not to spoil um, environment, so to speak. So let's get right to it. Let's go straight to what brought us here today and what the reason why we have a podcast for you guys today. Apparently, it was confirmed by the a poll that we made on Twitter. But apparently, one of the biggest fetishes that people go for or people enjoy in this industry is incest. And for obvious reasons, we couldn't make that much in Fleeting Iris because of Patreon guidelines. But people are constantly, requesting more scenes with I am and Fujiko. Why isn't there like people want to see a lot more of Farman because a lot of people, spoiler alert, realize that Armand is I am his father. So yeah, there's a lot of requests for more lesbian stuff to happen, but it's not as much as people asking for. It's not as much as it is people asking for. I'm sorry, I just thought it funny that a guy that I never seen on the podcast just showed up and posted Slava Ukraini in the chat. Um, yeah. Hello to you too, guy. Yeah, but a lot of people have been requesting a lot more incest stuff, and a lot of people have been asking a lot more interactions between Fujiko and Ayame, and the reason why that hasn't been happening is because of Patreon's guidelines. And that's also the reason why a lot of the content that we release in the game has to be split, has to be released in a split way. That's why the bestiality patch had to be released on our website instead of Patreon, and that's why the Shota patch is gonna have to be released on our website instead of Patreon. And if we wanted to make any incest stuff, it will have to be released in our website instead of Patreon. But we have no idea. Up until this point, we had no idea how big of a backing those fetishes had. And honestly, it's not a fetish that I'm opposed to write for. I'm just not really good at writing bestiality. I still want to go back. I still want to improve it, and I still have great ideas for the future. And a lot of people forget that we did the bestiality patch in just 1 month. So yeah, but unlike water sports and scat and a couple other couple other fetishes like guru and whatnot. I mean, there's so many fetishes. Obviously, at some point, I'm gonna be like, oh, this is the ones that I put my foot down, because it's gonna be hard for me to write those or put those in game, or even if you censor it, even if you try to keep it like you only see it in the game if you want, whatever. Um, yeah. Currently at this point, I was never opposed to drawing incest scenes because it's not it's anti. It's not weirder to me drawing an incest scene than it is to draw like to write a stepbrother or stepsister or whatever scene. It's not a big deal for me to write those scenes. I honestly don't get a bigger appeal for the scene, but it's not something that disgusts me or makes me feel weird writing it. It's just but yeah, people kept asking me, is there going to be more scenes? Journey Abroad could be like the perfect game for incest. Blah blah blah. Fleeting Garvis could have a lot more incest. And then I released the poll on Twitter just out of curiosity, which is where we have the biggest backing with almost 3,000 people. And by a vast majority, like almost 60% out of 228 votes, or out of 228 voters, almost 60% voted that they loved incest. And the options of the poll were do you like incest, do you dislike incest, or are you, do you think it's irrelevant to you? So some people, like 30%, were like incest, I don't mind, but I don't love it like particularly. So those are the people that are still going to play the game, but they're not going to get like, come on, baby, why? They're not going to become happier just because it's an incest game, or they're not going to become sadder because it's an incest game. But an overwhelming, almost 60% amount of the voters voted that they would like to have incest on the game. That it's a fetish that pleases them. I was extremely surprised, and after a lot of research, I found out that the two biggest. Okay, please, baby, you need to go. Stop, okay? Yeah, the Evan Studios mascot is here. So I figured out that that the two biggest fetishes were incest and the combination of monster girls with furries. So yeah, those are the two biggest incests right now in the market, and I was talking with Isaac, and I was like, man, I had no idea those two were big. Like, I also didn't know that NTR was also seen so that so many people hated NTR in the anti scene. I really had no ideas. Why? I swear people were knocking at my door. Jesus Christ. The podcasts are always like this, unconventional. Uh, but yeah, I told him, like, I didn't know that some people were like so opposed to like NTR, and I figured out it was mostly, I figured out that it was like mostly because of I don't know, some people had like bad experiences in life where they got cheated on. Jesus Christ, give me a second. Okay, that explains a lot of stuff. My cat was meowing because there were people at the door. Um, okay, I remember where I was going. Jesus Christ. So uh, I don't know. Some people have like emotional damage when it comes to NTR. Mostly because I don't know. They just dislike the idea, the concept. Um, they got cheated on, or for there's many reasons to dislike NTR, and there's some people that have like extremely low tolerance for NTR. But I made NTR at the time because it felt like it was a fetish that a lot of people liked, and I was like, listen, if I'm gonna make an NTR game, I'm gonna make one that you know that has a lot of nuances. Like, you can see like a romantic path, you can see many types of NTR. Um, I'm gonna try and make a good NTR game because I honestly thought that it's what people like. I just wanted to make like a good NTI game. Uh, so I really didn't know what type of game I was gonna make, But I knew at the time that I wanted to start with a game that I could it could help me learn the engine, and I wouldn't have to like draw. I wouldn't have at the time to make like a lot of story or complicated mechanics or or battle system, or I just wanted to learn the engine. Like I already said many times in the past, Fleeting Arrows was a learning experience for everyone in the team. Muku improved a lot in his drawings. Isaac improved a lot in his coding. I improved a lot on my coding. I improved a lot on my storytelling, on my grammar. On working with the engine, on dealing with a lot of stuff. It was a learning process, and at the time we needed something kind of like a VN, and at the time, as well, NTR was like big. It felt like it was big. I didn't have many experience. I didn't have much experience in anti games, and it felt like NTR was like a big thing that a lot of people loved NTR. So I was like, okay, since I'm gonna make an anti game, I'm just going to make something that people like, and it's gonna be, it's gonna be the best of both worlds. I'll be able to work in making games, and I'm gonna make something that people are going to like. I'm going to work on a fetish that people enjoy. So we worked on Fleeting Iris, and obviously I felt that we should be bigger as a company for the quality of our game and how hard we work in our games. But I also learned that NTR is something that pushes a lot of people away. Yeah, obviously I know a lot more about anti nowadays, and I've made a few polls on Twitter, and I figured out that people are like big on RM games and big on incest games. So I was like, okay, we can make an RM incest game. Like, it's going to be an anti game. We're going to be able to keep working on what we like, and it's not something that I oppose, like incest and RM. Personally, they're not two of my favorite concepts, but I have nothing against them. I appreciate them in games. So I was like, yeah, definitely we should make that, but we already have a plan. Let's keep working on what we're working on. So the idea of working on Journey Abroad was, yeah, obviously we're gonna make it an RM game. It just it felt like it was one of those things that kind of decided itself, because we had a story, and was like, yeah, this is a really good story. I think people are gonna like it. It's like it's like an RM game. And yeah, we got an amazing artist to work with us. Yeah, it's obviously okay. Now we know how to work with a better engine. It's gonna have like mobile support. You're gonna be able to have like bigger resolution. Definitely, let's work on it. And the more I kept thinking about it, I was like, you know what? With a couple changes, this could actually be a really successful incest story. Like, this game wouldn't take many changes to become an incest game. So I am proud to, I am happy to tell you guys that Journey Abroad is both going to become an incest game and not going to become an incest game. What do I mean? Instead of working on 3 games in the future, we're going to work on 4. We're going to make Journey Abroad. We're going to use all the assets and everything that we use, but we're going to release on Patreon. On Patreon, we're going to release a non-incest version that has like a completely different story. And on Subscribestar, which we haven't made yet, we are going to make a complete incest story. And for people that get the version on Patreon, they will get a key, and they can get a patch for free in our website, which they can then patch their game to also become the incest version or keep the non-incest version. So you might ask me, Start, but how exactly do you plan to do that? Boom. So let me explain exactly what happens. The character on the top right, Brian, which is like your friend which switches places with you, will no longer be in the game. Instead of that, the premise of the game will be you are living with your father. Your mother, who will be the character on the bottom left instead, got into a fight with him for many reasons. They got divorced. She was bisexual. She married someone else. You left with you stayed with your father. Your sister stayed with your mother, and you guys are living apart. You are the son of a teacher. You keep changing cities because he keeps getting jobs in different places, and he's kind of a nomad. He just moves and then settles, and that's kind of what he does. And you're always uprooting, and at some point he decides to like move again, and you're like, listen, and this time I think he's going to change countries, and they're like, I'm kind of sick of this life. And they decide that you should leave, and you should try and live with your mom for a while. So that's when you move to Evan City, and you move into the house of your mom, who has currently remarried. So you have a stepmom and a mom, and you're also going to live with your sister. So for the characters, the way they were in the game, the bottom left character, which was supposed to be like your warden when you move on to Evan City, is now going to be your mom. The character that was supposed to be the other warden is going to be the stepmom, so the person that your mom remarried to, and the person that was going to be the sister of the adoptive sister of Ryan is going to become your actual blood sister. She's going to be your older sister. And the character that will usually be your mom, it's going to be your aunt. She's going to show up in the game. She's going later in the game. She's going to move in with you guys for a couple weeks, because she got a little spat with her husband and whatnot, and she decides to move in with you guys for a couple weeks, and she's fragile, and you know. So basically, you manage to have sex with both moms, the mom of a game, and the aunt that becomes the mom in the other game, if that makes any sense. So why did we decide to make all these big changes? First of all, just making like what do you call this character will make no sense for us. Like that will make the game incest, but it will not make a good incest game. But we also didn't feel well. It didn't feel right that we should scrap the initial idea that we have for Journey Abroad. So we were like, listen, the only reason why we might have like bigger spacing between patches and whatnot is because the CG teams are working on it. So what? How about we just work on another game? And obviously the idea was like, are you crazy? We're already going to work on like Bloodlust and Journey Abroad and Fleeting Aries, the times that we have to work, and now you want to work on like a different version of Journey Abroad. Like that's 4 games. Like, and I was like, yeah, we have sometimes we have a lot of free time. Like we need to we are always waiting on assets. We are always waiting on drawings. Why don't we, instead of working on one game, now why don't we just work on an extra one? Like while we're making one, we're making the other one. Like, and the thing is, Journey Abroad, the incest version, and the the normal version, and the whatever is the incest version that we still have to decide a name for it. They're going to be like 70% similar. Like all the other characters, the dialogue, the sex scenes, and whatever are going to be exactly the same. The only difference is what happens in your household. Instead of like being an exchange student, you're just going to move in with your mother. So these core characters, these 3 characters, are the ones that are going to be like the characters that you see on the screen are the ones that are going to be the biggest difference. Like the biggest difference in the game is going to be with these characters. Other than that, 70% of the game is going to be the same game. The people that you meet in school, the people that you can romance and whatnot, all that is going to be exactly the same. The biggest difference is what happens in your house. So the game is going to play almost exactly the same, except what happens in your house. What happens in your house is going to be completely different. It's gonna feel like a completely different game. You're going to interact with the characters in a different manner. All the dialogues are going to be completely different. So imagine that I rewrite Fleeting Aries to a point where, I don't know, I am is already married to Robert and Jack is already your son. So imagine that Arthur is actually I am his father, and Jack is actually I am his son, and all of that becomes incest. I have to rewrite a lot of dialogue to make sense, right? Also, don't get any ideas. I can already feel some of you getting ideas. Oh shit, you gotta make that happen. Don't stop, okay? So imagine that I have to rewrite those parts of the family route to where Jack is actually I am his son, and like Arthur is I am his father, and you know, the rest of the game and all the other routes and whatnot are going to be exactly the same as they are mostly, except that one route is going to be completely different and all the dialogues have to be remade. The idea between one and the other, the games are pretty much that you're going to be Journey Abroad, you're going to have Journey Abroad, and you're going to have Journey Abroad the incest version, and the incest version is going to change almost 100% what happens in your house. So the characters that you deal with the most, it's going to be like a complete, it's going to be a complete 180. It's going to be nothing the same. It's the characters are going to look the same. The entire scenes are going to be based on the same drawings, but everything from dialogue to story to how stuff happens is going to be completely different. And that's going to be the biggest difference between both games. If you guys have questions to any more than this, because I don't think I can explain any more than this, feel free to post right now on YouTube or ask on Discord or whatever if you're not watching this live. But this is the idea. Journey Abroad is going to have two versions, and everything that happens in your household is going to be drastically different. Like, not the same at all. It's going to be a completely different game. Morgan asks, so one will have NTR and the other incest? No. NTR is going to be a small portion of Journey Abroad. There's going to be like 2 characters that will involve NTR. Actually 3, sorry. I forgot about Ayame. So there's going to be 3 characters that you can romance that are going to have a little bit of an NTR background. Or you can choose not to romance them and not have NTR in the game at all. There's going to be a couple other, NTR and cheating things in the game, but it's mostly like the game is just ARM game. It's like the main character is just romancing characters that are not committed to anyone and whatnot. So outside of what happens inside your house, like everything is going to be the same. All the characters will be the same, the premise will be the same, the dialogues will be the same. What happens inside your household is where all of the differences are going to happen. Other than that, this is these are the biggest news about Journey Abroad. But other than that, we have been working really hard on the game, and I can probably say that we are going to be able to release the final Fitting Guys version plus the first patch of Journey Abroad somewhere in April. We're probably gonna get 2 Journey Abroad patches, and which means the not 2 Journey Abroad patches, like one version with the incest and one without. And we're also going to get the first patch of the last patch of Fleeting Iris until we release the DLCs, or somewhere along those lines. Somewhere in April we're gonna get like 2 games to play: the final version of Fleeting Iris and Journey Abroad. And for the Shota patch, we still don't have like an idea of where we're gonna release it. The CG team is working on it. I think you guys, if you guys didn't see on Twitter, I can post it here, but I think it's gonna look like extremely small. If I can find, let me just see the name of the file. Oh, did I delete it? Oh no, I didn't. Sorry. Here it is. This looks extremely small. Like, you guys can go on. Give me a second. There we go. You guys can go on Twitter to see like a bigger version of it. And these are not even all the. Jeez. Oh wait, not that one. Yeah. Let's keep it like this. Not you. Sorry, YouTube. I mean, this is like this is an adult channel, but still. I'm pretty sure that you guys can go on our official Twitter and see a bigger version of it. But But yeah, and these are not even all the costumes that Tiger Lily has already remade. She has also remade the normal the normal lingerie one. She already remade the 7-Eleven the uniform that you use. So yeah, this is obviously gonna take a long time, and we will love to put this on the last version of Leading Iris. So we're kind of debating. We're kind of debating of where we should just release this, and then just what we should release later on. Because there's so much we want to improve, and there's like very little time to improve it, so to speak. Because a lot of stuff is being made. So right now it's more like, should we just release what we have now and then release like more later, or should we just wait till we have like all the cool assets and just release like an amazing final version? So very soon we're gonna get a patch for Fleeting Hours. Is it going to come with all the busts updated? I don't know. It depends, because right now it's Tiger Lila just doing this on like her free time, or when she doesn't have like new scenes to work on. And right now Muko has already started the outlining for most of the scenes that she needs. So yeah, we want to do more, but we only have so many limited resources. Um, so yeah, and we also don't want to change like F the busts and leave F the busts unchanged. Um, so we might just release a final-ish version without the busts, and then later on just release a more improved version with a couple new scenes. Because another news that we have is that we have someone currently working with us on as a trainee, so to speak. So Tiger Lila is giving him a few scenes to color, and initially the first scene that he tried coloring came very close to what to the way that Tiger Lila colors. So we might get a new coloring artist to join the Evan Studios Eastern team, and if that happens, it is going to be able to work on the improvement of the old scenes. Is going to be able to change a few scenes to harbor the fan made scenes, which is something that we cannot direct our attention to and our resources to right now, but it's something that we want to make later, and we want to make justice to it. So that's why we want to properly animate the scenes that Sirius Black did and the scenes that Advent did. So right now we have an intern working with us, and we might put that person on that duty. So yeah, it's gonna come to how we want to split those Fleeting Iris patches. But yeah, if you guys want to see this image in like bigger resolution, obviously just go on Twitter, and there's a big ass resolution one that's like big, which I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy. So yeah, April. Let's hope that we can get like probably not the final version of Fleeting Iris, because like I said, we want to go back and improve the game as much as we can. But we're going to release like a version of Fleeting Iris somewhere in April, and hopefully also the two versions of Journey Abroad. As for the Shota patch, we will right now there's not a lot that we have to reveal, except people that have access to VIP Lounge, they see the scenes as they are being created and whatnot. So obviously those people have already seen previews of like 3 scenes, but they're not finished previews. But I think that the general population is going to get previews of the 3 scenes very soon. Yeah, and that's about it. Like, Bloodlust obviously hasn't we haven't started developing it because we're currently working on Fleeting Iris and the Shota patch. And as I say this, Morgan asked any news about Bloodlust dates. No, Morgan, we don't have any news about Bloodlust dates because, like we explained before, we can only release Bloodlust once we are done with the Shota patch, which is what's being worked on right now. And once that is out, then we can, then we're going to shift all our resources from the Evan Studios Eastern team to Bloodlust. and that's when we're going to start like full development of Bloodlust. Um, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the news because I know a lot of you are big fans of incest games, and I hope you guys are excited about the more and more improvements that we're going to keep bringing to Fleeting Hours because we want to do right by the game and we want to clean up everything that we feel that was um, that doesn't look as good, and obviously the busts of the main character is one of the things that has been you know in the back burner for the longest time and honestly deserves an improvement. And yeah, obviously, if you look at the character, a lot of stuff has changed. Like her face is one of the biggest changes. The coloring was reworked on a lot to be improved. Her hairstyle has changed dramatically from like her old ponytail to the new. And you can, if you look at the screen, you can see the difference between our Melvin Pub costume and the ponytail that she has two busts to the right. The picked up ponytail is kind of different. So it's something that we wanted to like to work on because the first one felt kind of weird to us at the time, and and all obviously her breast has been enhanced to match what ended up being her actual breast size in game. And the reason for it is because people kept saying a little bigger, a little smaller, a little bigger, until we got to the point where we were like, okay, this is like the perfect breast size for her. And now most scenes are consistent to that breast size. So yeah, obviously it has been enhanced a little bit to reflect the actual breast size that you see in the entire scenes. And it's gonna look less weird. It's gonna look like it has less disparity, and obviously the scenes the busts look a lot crispier, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we want to bring to the new century, even though it's still the same century, but we just want to update and make it better, and we just want to make Fleeting Arts in whole like a better game and go back and change like just bad dialogues, some mechanics in the game. We want to make it a lot more intuitive. We have to change a few stats so that in the future when we bring the Robert suspicion patch and whatnot, for it all to make sense. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of cleanup. The only thing that we are deciding is where do we just cut this patch, like okay, we're going to release this one as it is, and then what are we going to release in the next one. So yeah, but definitely in April we're going to get a big Fleeting Hours patch, and hopefully a Journey Abroad patch. A lot of Fleeting Hours EF showed patch reviews, and yeah, I think that's mostly it. So if there's really nothing that you guys want to ask about, this is the big news that I wanted to announce. I hope you guys are happy with it, and yeah, we're going to start releasing a lot of previews for the show to patch soon on our Discord. And as regarding Fleeting RZF and Journey Abroad, expect patches very very soon in somewhere in April. So yeah, also in the VIP lounge for the people that have the $30 or above support on Patreon. Expect also some pictures of actual gameplay soon. Other than that, you guys, if you guys want to talk to me, you can always use Discord or Twitter, or for usually for the smaller stuff, I usually use Twitter on Discord. But yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's podcast. I know it's small, but it was kind of like straight to the point. I'm also sad that we don't have Isaac here today. But we are currently working 3 different games, and we had a lot of work today because we were working on a new mechanic where you can look through a people and you can actually pan the image to the left and to the right. So one of the kids gets to look through a keyhole to I am masturbating in a bed, and but we want to be able to like shift the image left and right, and I played, I wouldn't say thousands, but in the high hundreds of RPG Maker and Thai games, and I never seen anything done like it. And we talked to our scripter, and it told us the best way to do that is probably to do with an event, uh, and the event is kind of complex because you have to have like a back animation going on, and then a picture above that you have to record the coordinates of the picture, and then if you press left, it shows another picture, and then you can press left like 4 or 5 times, and the picture, the literally the image shifts to make it look like you're like panning, but instead of that you're just showing different pictures. It's very complex, and it was very tiresome to work on that today, but it was just us trying to innovate as usual, and spending a lot of stuff on a mechanic that you're going to use for like 20 seconds. So yeah, just classical fleeting hours. um so yeah, for Journey Abroad and Fleeting Hours and whatnot, we're also trying to improve like the parallax mapping, improve the lighting, just trying to set off like a better mood, because Journey Abroad we want to be, as well as we want to do with Bloodlust in the future, but we want to like pull out all the stops and make everything just look absolutely amazing and immersive, and we want to blow Fleeting Hours out of the water with all the stuff that we want to make in the future. And yeah, we've been working tirelessly on the many different games that we have, in terms of like story wise, in terms of the database, in terms of dialogues, in terms of everything that our team is working in the back, regarding music, regarding busts, regarding CGs, regarding sprites, regarding everything. There's so much work being done right now in Evan Studios. We are extremely tired. We work so many hours a day, but it's really cool. It's really cool. It feels good to be able to always be working and always be focused on something different, instead of like having to wait for the CGs to be delivered, and then we're just looking to each other like, okay, what now? What do we do? So yeah, it's been very tiring, but it's like a good amount of tiring. It's been tiring physically, but not tiring emotionally. It's actually been a pleasure to do this. It's very stimulating actually. So yeah, we can do with physical tiredness. We the emotional tiredness is, that's the one that gives you emotional damage. But right now it's been a pleasure working on this, because we're seeing our ideas coming to life, and yeah, I really can't wait to start posting stuff. I don't know what's going to come first, if it's going to be the Shota patch previews, or if it's actually going to be the final Fleeting Eyes version, or the first Journey Abroad concept patch. But yeah, you guys are going to get news very soon. So let me just answer a couple questions that I know you guys asked here on YouTube. Foster asked, does this mean that Fujiko's childhood includes I am his mother, and Arman's Operation Infiltration will have higher status when and if those updates will be release made? I don't understand what you mean by higher status, bro. I don't understand what you mean by higher status. Can you remake the question? Will Arman and Fujiko DLC be in a higher position if they will be made? I don't understand what higher position means. I don't understand. Like you're gonna need to remake that question. Morgan asks, are you gonna get NTR, or are you gonna do it? So I think he's asking if in Journey Abroad, if your character is going to get NTR'd, or if he's going to NTR someone. So basically, your character doesn't have a girlfriend, so you don't get NTR. That's the first. But there is a lot of potential NTR. For instance, Brian, the character that you see on the top right, actually on the one version where he exists, which is the original version, is going to start a romancing your mother. So that's kind of like, that's NTR in a sense. But there's also a different type of NTR, because both the characters that the one that you have like mom and stepmom in the screen, they are together. So initially, when you start having sex with a blonde character, you are kind of anti-ring the character with a redhead, right? But that's not all there is. There's like characters in the game that are actually dating. I can try and pull up. Their their pictures like really quick. So, for instance, and not try not to spoil too much, I'm going to bring an image here and I'm going to try and like upload it. Upload it. I'm going to try to like upscale it to so I can show you the idea. But so for instance, let me try and this guy right here on the center of the screen, the guy with the HCU jacket, he is actually dating. Oops, that's the wrong overlay. I also don't need that anymore. He's kind of dating. Jeez, can I? Okay, he's dating this character, the blonde girl with the green eyes. Right. So he's kind of. She's like the school pop star, so to speak. She's like the top cheerleader that everyone likes. Actually, everyone hates, but you know, all the guys want to do stuff to her. Let's try to be polite. Uh, and this guy is like the leading jock that acts like he owns the fucking school. He's like the prom king type of guy. This guy right here in the center. So yeah, obviously you're gonna start dating her, and eventually this guy is going to get NTR'd. But that's not the only character that has potential for NTR. For instance, I Am Yourself is going to have a really nice story that involves Robert, and there's a big NTR story there, which you can completely skip. But I think a lot of people are going to like it. This character is married. The character on the leftmost character, she's married. She's actually the mother of this character right here, which happens to be the girlfriend of your friend that moves into your city. This guy right here in the center. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of potential there's going to be a lot of potential for NTR, but you can also skip that entirely and just play a total RM game. Uh, it's completely avoidable. The incest, you need to play the non-incest version, else it's not going to be avoidable at all. There's going to be an incest version. There's going to be a non-incest version. So it really depends on which version you're playing. But yeah, the NTR is going to be on both versions. It's just completely avoidable. You can avoid any character. You only romance the characters that you wish to romance. Also, the good thing about the NTR is that this motherfucker has it coming. Like, he's a piece of shit. He treats everybody like trash, especially the guy that you can see directly to his right. You're going to become like really good friends with him, and is a bigot. So the guy to his right is gay. He's homosexual, and but he's like super nice guy. And the guy in the center just picks on people because they're different. You know, and you're like, nah, I don't like that. I don't tolerate shit like that. So fuck that guy. And you become friends with the other guy. And the end you end up having sex and fucking the girl from the big school bully. So yeah. You know what they say? They laugh at us because we're different, and we laugh at them because they're the same. So yeah, there's going to be potential NTR. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. Also, since I'm already in the spoiling manner, I'm just going to spoil this image that a lot of people didn't see because people don't check our Patreon, but our Patreon. I mean our Twitter. But there's also this. This is like. We're trying not to like share too much, but this is like an image from the actual game. This is the ride home. So this is like a perfect idea to explain to you guys what's the difference between both versions. So in the let's say that in the non-incest version, what happens here is you move in with the redhead girl and the blonde girl, and they have a daughter, which is this girl. She's like an adoptive daughter. Actually, no, she's the daughter from a previous marriage of the blonde girl. But the idea is the two people that are going to take you in their house are working, so they can receive you. So they ask their daughter to go pick you up at the airport, and yeah, she goes and picks you up on the ride home. She's like, I don't like you. I didn't want you to move in. You're a fucking stranger. Blah blah blah. In the incest version, she's like, I didn't want to share like a room, whatever. I barely fucking know you. You're going to destabilize like a good thing that we have. And when you pick her, she's gonna be like, "Oh my god, you fucking pervert! Why are you looking at me that way?" It's gonna be like a completely different dialogue from her being your sister or not, right? So it's a really good example of how the game is going to change drastically, but stay the same on both versions. So the dialogue is going to change like drastically between one version and the other, because in one version she's your sister and she's picking you up at the airport, and the other she's just like a complete stranger to you. She just knows you're moving into her house, so you're like an invader. You're like an invader. So yeah, that's a great example of what's going to be the difference between both versions. And yeah, right now we have a lot on our plate, and the fans of Evan Studios are going to get a lot of good stuff. So anyway, I think you guys posted some more stuff. Yeah, Foster, if you don't rephrase that question, I'm sorry, I can't give you an answer. I'm trying to understand. It's like, will Arman and Fujiko DLC be in a higher position if they will be made? If they will be made, or if they are made, which they will be eventually, unless we die as a company. If they are made, which we hope it is, we will probably shift all the resources that we have towards that at some point. Yes. I don't know if it's going to be at the end of Bloodlust. I don't know if we're going to take like a break halfway through Bloodlust or whatever. I don't know when we are going to release it, but it's like, it's Evan Studios. We have a lot of on our plate right now. We need to focus on what's in front of us right now, and eventually we will get to it, and it's gonna be made. But right now, we have, like, for you guys, it's like, oh, it's Journey Abroad and the Show to Patch and finishing Fleeting Hours, which already sounds like a lot, but in our hands, it's a lot more that we need to focus on. It's different spot artists for two things. It's different musicians for two things. It's different map creators for two things. We are working a lot on a lot of stuff, and we have to focus on a lot of stuff. So stuff that is in the future that we have plans to do, but are not in our table right now, we tend to not think about it. It's going to happen, but we are not even considering anything about it right now. It's just it's in the future. It's going to be made, but we need to focus on what's in front of us so we can get this out of the way, and then so yeah, right now the full focus is Evan Studios West is working full time on Journey Abroad. Evan Studios East is working full time on the Shota patch. And the Fleeting Guys EF is being worked on, but not by the CG teams. Well, kind of is, because Tiger Lila keeps really releasing more busts on her free time, like I showed previously. But Isaac and I are working on a Fleeting Guys EF every time we hit like a limitation. Like in Journey Abroad right now, the limitation is the sprites and the CGs, and for the Shota patch is obviously the CGs. And so when we hit those limitations, we focus on Fleeting Hours to get the final version out of the way. So that's where all our attention and all our resources are being put right now. So yeah, it's in the pipeline, but we don't know when. That's the thing. It's not after other projects are done. We don't know when. If we are able to afford more people, let's say the Journey Abroad is a success, and we start making a lot of money on Patreon and subscribes are for whatever reason, and obviously we're going to grab that money and we're going to reinvest in the team, in getting more people working with us and whatnot. So if we get a bigger team, we can release it earlier. So that's really the thing. If we get more money, we get a bigger team, we can release it earlier. If not, it might be after Bloodlust is done. Yes, it's a possibility, but we are not considering any of that right now because we need to work with what we have in the table right now, the finances that we have not right now, the team that we have right now. That's our focus. Let's one step at a time. Toxic Gamers asked, "It's great to hear that your team is expanding. Do you think that finances for development are still impactful on the production of both Fleeting Garris and Journey Abroad at this point in time?" Yes, yes, absolutely, yes. If we had more money, we will do a lot more. We have always shown as a team that we went to the point where I was putting money out of my pocket to keep working on Fleeting Garris. At some point in development, I was putting money out of my pocket into Fleeting Garris so that we could keep working in the game, because we were really passionate about working on this, and we wanted to make games for a living because it's fun. We really enjoy making games. We love making games, and for the longest time, I was putting money out of my pocket to keep working on it. I was actually losing money working on Fleeting Garris. So as soon as we made any money, which is the Steam money, which wasn't that much, I can tell you that. As soon as we started making any money, we instantly hired more people. We hired an animator. We hired Scarlett Ann to work on a Journey Abroad. Instantly, we started investing all the money that we had on more people. Giving more people jobs, and just getting more people into the team so we can work on more projects at the same time, because we have a lot of stuff in the pipeline at the moment. That Ronhammer just mentioned Road to Purgatory. For those that don't know, it's a spin-off from Fleeting Garris where I am goes to the slums. So she's sold for a slum, so it's like a slave game. She is like a sexual slave game in the slums of Evan City, and that's another step that we have in the pipeline. So the faster we can finish our games, and the faster we can start putting resources in the games that we have in the pipeline, or actually just putting resources in our actual game, and by finishing those faster, we can start working on the things that are on the pipeline. For instance. So absolutely, obviously, the finances for development are still very impactful in the production of Fleeting Garris and Journey Abroad, and we hopefully we pray that Journey Abroad is a financial success, so we can invest more money to the studios. We want to have a bigger studios. We want to hire more people. I definitely I definitely have. I want to be able to work with someone that works on UI full time. I want to be able to have someone that works on sprites and battlers and animated battlers and whatnot full time, which will help a lot in future games, such as Bloodlust. We want to hire music people full time instead of like outsourcing, because those become more expensive in terms of time. We want to be able to invest in more money into the company to make more games, so we can make more money, and invest more money so we can make more game. We don't have any plans to become rich. I'm happy. I'm the type of person, and I know Isaac feels the same way, that money isn't everything to us. As long as we have enough, it's kind of more important in our perspective to, like, you need to work, and you're investing in working on something that you love for the rest of your life. It's an amazing investment, and it's something that we love doing. We love working on our games, and but we have limitations. Like, I can't draw. I tried. I suck at it. And people deserve to get paid, and people make their own fees and their own expectations, and they want to make money, and some of them want to make a lot of money, and if we don't have a lot of money to offer them, we can't hire them. But the more money we have, the more people we can hire, and the better professionals we can hire, because some people are going to be paid a little more than others, because they're going to ask for more money. Obviously, the finances are still a thing. We're not making X-Store or Summertime Saga or something Steve, I don't know, Adept Steve type money. Like I know a lot of people are making over like 100,000 euros a month. We're making 3,000 on fleeting hours. So yeah, it's a little bit different. So man, I if listen, I'm not saying I want to make that type of money. I wouldn't say no to it, but it's not an ambition that we have. I mean, if we made like 10,000, we will be already able to hire like so many people, and do so many amazing stuff. But those guys make 100,000. You guys have any idea what type of anti game I will make with $100,000 a month, bro? Like, I will shit. I will bet anything if I couldn't make the best anti game ever with that budget. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life. I will be clearly in the wrong business. I will have to do something else. With that type of money, are you kidding me? 100k plus a month, bro. Like, you owe not just your fans but the whole community with that money to make something like extraordinary. Like, you need to make something that is like head and shoulders above everything else. And we did what we did, the biggest entire game with the biggest story, with the most amount of dialogue, with all the stuff that we made. And Fleeting Guys beat a lot of other games on in I'm not talking about subjective stuff. I'm not talking about like opinions. We did more than most studios out there on, bro. Our budget was what, 3,000 euros, and we have like six people. We have 4 people in our team working full time, and a bunch of other people that we outsource stuff from. Like, come on, are you serious? So that's why I get a kind of like, I get mad when people come up with excuses and they're making like 50k a month and they're like, oh man, we can only release a patch like every 6 months and it's like 5 minutes of gameplay. And because obviously I'm a fan as much as I am a developer, and I look around, I'm like, well, like, how do people believe half of the bullshit that these guys say? But yeah, sometimes developing is hard, especially when you start having an old team like we are. I mean, we've been doing this for over 7 years. We started already old. I started on my 29. I started when I was like 29. Now I'm 37. I just turned 37 on the 20th, which was Sunday. Yeah, I just turned 37 on Sunday. I just turned 37 years old. Tiger Lila is over 40. Muku is over 30. Isaac is over 30. Like, we get it. We have kids. We have real life situations happening. We have all that stuff going on, just like everyone else. But we can't shy away from responsibility. There's health issues when you're 20, bro. You are sick. You take a shit. You're good. You're good. It's like perfect. When you're 30, when you're 35, 40, your body doesn't recover the same way. There's a lot more issues. There's a lot more stuff that you are concerned and afraid of, like tension and blood pressure and shit like that kids don't have to deal with. My friend ASL 3D was working on the game, on his game, and right now he's on the hospital, like after surgery. Like, when you get older, shit gets, it gets weird. But we don't want 100,000 euros a month. Like, if we get a little more, if we make on Journey Abroad as much money on as we make on Fleeting Hours, even if Fleeting Hours stays stable with the money that we have right now, we're already going to be able to hire more people and make an amazing game. Obviously, if we make more, if we can make like, I don't know, 10,000 or 15,000 between both games, then we're going to talk other stuff. Then we're going to talk Evan Studios on the next level. Right now, we're working on a very limited budget. If we make a little bit more money, if we make like 15k, which if you look at any other Patreon game, we're talking very reasonable amounts of money. And I'm lowballing. I'm talking about reasonable, but like on the very low spectrum of what anti-game producers are making with games that are subpar in many people's opinion. If we make on that ballpark, between all our stuff in 10 to 15k, then if it, we're going to be we're going to take Evan Studios to the next level. It's going to be something serious. I already feel that Flynn and Garris, had we been as good, had we been back then as good as we are now, will be something already, something like transcendental, something really ahead of everything else, which is what we want to do for Bloodlust and Journey Abroad. And I still think that in terms of like sheer size and dialogue and the scope of the game, Fleeting Hours is way ahead of everything else in terms of sheer size, because it's factual. It's not, this is not an opinion. Our game simply has more assets, more scenes, more dialogue, more story, more everything. Um, on a team as small as ours is, if we start making that amount of money, then you will realize that it's not the money that we have, it's the team that you get. And I will show you what can be done with 15k, since a lot of people with like 50, 60, 70, 80, 100,000 don't, or people that get like backers to give them like 2.5 million dollars to work on a game, and then release something like that can barely be called a demo. I'm telling you guys, if we make a little more money, just a little, if we make a little more money, you're going to see you're going to see some crazy stuff coming from Evan Studios. And I believe that with our work, with Bloodlust coming out, with Journey Abroad coming out, and trying to advertise a little bit here and there, I think we're gonna get there. But yeah, you guys are in for some treats. I can promise you that. So yeah, April's going to be a big month. There's going to be a lot of previews. There's going to be patches. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. Just stay tuned, because it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth all the wait and all the patience that you guys have with us. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. If you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to be out. And if you do have questions later, you can always reach me on Discord, or Patreon or Twitter or whatever. But probably the best version, the best way to get like an instant answer from me is to use Discord, because I'm always there. And there's also like useful people in the Discord that usually answer questions, like Zelmate and Sirius Black, which are our community leaders. And they also know a lot of stuff, and if they don't, they will probably just ping me, and I will be able to answer all your questions. And I honestly encourage all of you to just come and chat and dialogue and ask as many questions as you want, because I know that a lot of the devs like to like sit in their thrones and just give an answer now and then. But I honestly, like, I encourage you all to come and participate and discuss and just share your ideas and whatnot. Like, you will find that the community or our Discord is very welcoming. And I love talking with the fans. I love discussing our games with the fans. I love everything that is related to everything Evan Studios. I love fan art. I love all that stuff. So if you guys want to show up, I honestly encourage you guys to do it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's podcast. It's kind of sad that I had to do it on my own. But yeah, I hope you guys had a good time, despite Isaac and the others not being here today. And I wasn't too boring or taking too much to get to the point. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the news. I think for me for today is everything. I want to thank you all for showing up on the podcast as usual. Aaron, Foster, the the latex guy, Soul Survivor, CJ, Uriel Zush, the Postal Dude, even though all he did was like Slav Ukraini, but sure. Uriel Morgan, Ivan Vincent, Ashik, yeah, Detron Hammer, Toxic Gamers, yeah, Zelmate, everyone, thank you so much for listening to the podcast, and you that are listening to this without talking on the chat, or listening to this later on the VOD. I appreciate you guys, and stay tuned, because there's going to be a lot of news very very soon. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for supporting. Every dime means a lot to us, and it's really important for to keep working on the game. I appreciate you all so much. Stay healthy above all, because that's what really matters. That one is like, I know that some people are like, I don't care about money, I don't care about this, I don't care about that. Don't let anyone tell you how you should live your life, or what should be your values, or what you should appreciate, or how to live your life. Like, as long as you know you're having fun, every second you spend wasting time, every second you waste having fun was not wasted at all. And I honestly believe that everyone should be able to live their life the way they want to. Just, be tolerant and always try to understand both sides of, because there will always be two or more sides of everything. But just be you. But above all, stay healthy, because that's the one common thing. If you're a mogul, if you're living on a yacht, or if you're living on a 1 room bedroom house, whatever, as long as you're happy, that's what matters. But above all, I hope you stay healthy, because that's the thing that really fucking matters at the end of the day, and no money in the world can pay for that. So I hope you guys stay healthy, and everything that you wish comes true, because life is too short for bullshit. Thank you guys, love you all so much. I'll see you guys very soon, probably next week, because we're going to have more news. So take care, bye. Quando é que aquela merda tá? Não foi só pelos seguidores, mas tipo, todas as pessoas não escreveram muito, não são as pessoas que escreveram.
Mas estás a ver, olha, eu fui a primeira a assinar, olha o que é que eu fiz. Estás a ver?
Os teus dias chegam a ser muito felizes, Marisa Rodrigues Chu, parabéns, meu amor grande, espero continuar a fechar este dia por ti. Por muitos anos comigo. Parabéns, baby, meu amor, espero que continuemos a celebrar este dia durante muitos longos anos. Ela escreveu exatamente a mesma coisa! What the fuck? Parabéns, baby Momo. Espero que continuemos a celebrar este dia durante muitos longos anos. Amo-te, baby Momo e Kiara. Parabéns, Momo grande. Espero continuar a vestir este dia por muitos anos contigo. Amo-te, Ana Rita. Ela continua exatamente a mesma pessoa, estás a ver o que é que eu estou com ela? Porque ela é consistente. Parabéns, Fábio, desejo tudo bom, muita saúde e muitas felicidades. Ok, um grande abraço, Pedro Fernandes. Muitos parabéns, keep up being awesome.
Não estás a ver, eu escrevi. Muitos parabéns, Chuchu, que continuas a ser a luz. E depois para a luz. Ai, o que é que eu estou a escrever a luz para as coisas? Até improvisar bem, não
Que
foi?
alegria da nossa amizade. Claro, já viste se pensasse antes de começares a escrever. Caralho.
Mas foi fixe, é sempre fixe gostar, não é?
Gostei.
Eu sei que tu gostas.
E depois o Ivan, man, porque que o Ivan é sempre tipo a Edgar Allan Poe, meu? Já lá vai o tempo em que não poderíamos estar aqui hoje. Aguenta-te, meu irmão.
E o que é que ele escreveu?
Eu fui na... Chaval, tu tens que largar a merda do coisa. Irmão, que as chances estão bacana quanto... Não, não é isto. Daqui até ao alpendre, que todos os teus sonhos realizem. You are the main character of your story. Como é que tu tens tão Marias? O alpendre é uma ideia que a gente tem, já te explico. Pois é, mais um ano e tantas coisas que isso nos traz, mas são coisas boas e são essas a que me agarro. Ainda bem que tem sido difícil termos rido muito em cima da nossa tristeza. Forte abraço, irmão. Parabéns e livre nomes. Porquê é que ele traz porquê é que ele tem sempre um tom tão triste nas merdas?
Yeah.
Larga a tristeza, mas acho que podes ser feliz às vezes. Podes ficar na tristeza e ser feliz. Quando se eu conto da merda a acontecer, a gente pegar ao que era bom e ao que era positivo. E este
Mas
gajo.
é fixe, nem o cristalinho.
Gosto mais do cristalinho.
Olha, vou te dizer uma cena. Eu cheguei tarde porque eu saí à chuva de propósito para ir ao continente buscar o cartão.
E vê lá, e quase não tinhas pizza.
Fui de propósito.
Emotional damage.